Welcome to the Podium Life podcast, where we discuss how to live a podium life. I am your host and favorite Olympian, Michelle Carter, aka Shot Diva. Let's get into this episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Podium Life podcast. I am your favorite Olympian, Michelle Carter, and y'all, we are back with another episode. So, let me go ahead and give y'all a little quick update because it's been a minute for your girl. Life's been good, but it's also been a little bit of a struggle. We're just going to go ahead and just say that. I got to be honest with myself. As much as I want to tell you that everything's been peaches and cream, it's like nothing major, right? Nothing major, but it's been a little bit of a struggle for me. And it's been a little bit of a struggle for me because I fell into this hole and I just didn't want to do anything. Like nothing at all. And I don't know where that came from. I don't know if it's part of the transition, maybe me feeling overwhelmed. I did previously go to counseling, and I realized that I do get anxiety. I don't know how, from what, when, how, but I do. And maybe it was a little bit of anxiety that came up on me. I'm not sure. I don't know what happened. But it's like I slipped into this thing and I was in like this weird place where I didn't want to do anything. Like nothing at all. Like I'm so serious. But I'm back. I'm feeling better. It's crazy how in life, the things that you really are supposed to do, they're going to be forces that are coming up against you that's going to keep you from doing what you know you should do. And that's where I really know where to really push into and where to fight. And so I'm coming back fighting. I'm swinging because I got to get this thing done. I got to get out here and do what I know I'm supposed to do, right? And it was just hard. I don't know what it is. My house was a mess. I didn't really feel like getting dressed if I didn't really have to. And I have to monitor that. But then there's another reason why that could be going on, because your girl had switched insurances or got insurance, and I was trying not to pay about almost $300 for my thyroid medication. So I wasn't taking it for about 3 weeks. And I know that would mess me up just a little bit. So I'm not gonna blame it all on anything else, but I just had a lot going on. I had a lot going on. And I did not manage myself appropriately. And it happens. But we're back. I'm here. I'm feeling better by far. Got my medicine. I done been prayed on, prayed over. I prayed for myself. And I just had to be open and honest and talk about how I was really feeling. And I think a lot of times especially if you're the strong friend in the group or the person that people look up to, you tend to hold things in and keep it to yourself and try to figure it out on your own. But sometimes just simply telling somebody, hey, I ain't really myself right now. It kind of breaks the clog, right? Say you got a sink and it's clogged and there's something really stuck in it. When you talk and when you release things, it's breaking up that stuff. And so I felt like me actually admitting that, okay, y'all, I'm not 100% good. And I think it started to really break up some stuff, and then having some people lay some hands and pray for your girl. We good. But that's life. But today's episode is an episode that's really personal to me. For a lot of reasons. And the main reason is because my sister has recently experienced this situation. So, my topic and what I want to talk about is women in pain. Because there's this thing about when women have pain, it's not looked at the same. And then when you want to break it down to even be more specific, why I feel like it's very personal for me is Black women in pain. And when we talk about this in sports, there is a lack of understanding when it comes to women in pain. Like most of the time when women are in pain, we're being dramatic. But then there's the opposite end of the spectrum where there's a lot of women who endure so much pain due to the high pain tolerances that we almost really hurt and ruin ourselves, going past the limit that we really should go. So a little bit of background about what happened. So the first week of February, we are life is going. I'm on the road with my little podcast. We getting it. I get a phone call from my sister. Was it Saturday night? Saturday night that she went to the emergency room. And I'm like, okay, no, she went to urgent care. And then from urgent care, she went to the emergency room and she called me and she was like, sis, I don't want to tell you what's going on. I don't want to scare nobody until I find out what's going on. Cool. Bet. Keep me updated. I'll call and check in on you later. Then later on that night, she was like, yeah, it's Sunday. I'm still here. They're not sure exactly what's going on. Um, I'm like, hey, at this point, you need to call your parents. You already spent the night. You need to call your parents because at this point, something's wrong and we all need to know. And so I had to call my parents and give them the heads up like, hey, Dee Dee's going to call you. She's in the hospital. Don't freak out. Don't stress her. Just listen and we'll figure it out. And so they did that. My parents was like, well, how long did you know? And I'm like, that's irrelevant. Doesn't matter. But, we're going to figure out and see what the doctor says. So then the next day, she's still in the hospital. They decide to truly admit her to the hospital. And so they're running tests, trying to figure out what's going on. She has an infection. They just don't know exactly where, coming from what. And so next thing you know, it's a Monday morning. My dad's like, hey, pack your bags. You're going to the hospital. Because, staying in the hospital isn't the most comfortable thing in the world by any means. And the person who's most suitable to do that in my family is me. And then plus that's my sister. I'm big sis, she little sis. I gotta go for my little sister, right? And then my mama would have went, but she just started a job. She needed to work. And then plus, sometimes your mama get on your nerves and you know, sorry, mama. But so I ended up going to the hospital, stay with my sister, and we ended up in the hospital for a whole week. And that was like the first time I missed recording for the podcast. And I was like, I was going to record in the hospital, but I'm like, nah, I'm not going to record in the hospital. I'm just going to wait. And then I got home, just never got back on schedule for being in the hospital. So anyways, Monday night, the night that I get to the hospital, my dad takes me because it's supposed to snow and freeze over, which it did. So either way, I was going to be stuck at the hospital if I drove, not drove, whatever, because we had an ice storm later that night and it lasted for a few days. And so I stayed, and which worked out perfectly because we were going to be in a place that's not going to lose electricity. The hospital is always going to have electricity. So I was happy about that. I didn't have to worry about being cold. I didn't have to worry about no food, no water, because we at the hospital. If you want to be in a place, that's the place to be, but not really, because if you're there, that means something's not right. But so it comes on, finds out my sister has an abscess, uh, um, like I think on her fallopian tubes or on her ovaries. I can't remember exactly which one. And it's this like she's pretty much septic at this point. They're putting IVs in her. They're putting all these antibiotics in IVs through her. She's just not feeling well and in a lot of pain. And so they're trying to get the infection down in her body before they actually do a procedure to drain the infection and to see what's all in there so they can start clearing it out of her body. And so it comes procedure day. So procedure day comes and they take her in the back. It's supposed to be a simple procedure. They're going to go in there through her back, poke around, break it up, drain it, put a drain in so all the stuff can flow out. And it was supposed to be a simple, minimal pain procedure. So she gets in there and they have the procedure. I come back to the room. I went downstairs, talking on the phone. I come back in the room and my sister is in there bawling. And I'm like, oh Lord, because number one, my sister's a little bit of a crybaby. Sorry, Dee Dee, but she's a little bit of a crybaby. She's the emotional one of the group, and you let her tell it. I ain't got no heart. But I'm like, what's wrong, sis? Like, what's happening? And she tells me what happens while she's in the procedure room. So my sister is in the procedure room. They get her back there. The doctors are kind of like in a frantic, not really in a frantic, but they're rushing. And, I get it. They're understaffed because people couldn't get to the hospital because of the ice. And they're trying to hurry up and get these procedures done so they can get through all the patients that they need to get through because they kept putting hers off and rescheduling due to lack of staff. So she gets there, they give her the pain medicine, but as soon as she gets the pain medicine, the doctor starts the procedure. So he didn't even give her time for the medicine to work. He starts. Now, this procedure is like if you're getting the epidural, it's going through your body. So this needle and this thing is going through your body, and they gotta move it around to drain that infection in there. So it's in there. She's feeling it all. She said, "Hey, I can feel that." He said, "Okay, go up and give her some more." So they give her some more, but he's steady doing his job, like he's steady doing what he's doing. He keeps going. And she's like, "Stop, stop, stop. That hurts, that hurts, that hurts, that hurts." The nurse said that I can't give you any more. She's over here telling him to stop, that she can feel every single thing that he's doing. And he is just steady going as if he did not hear her. So for my sister, she said that was very traumatic for her because here she is in the hospital. They say, "Hey, if you feel pain, let us know so we can make sure that you're not in that much pain." But then when the pain came and she let them know, the doctor didn't stop. The nurses said, "This is all that we can do. We did the most that we can do. I'm sorry," is what the nurse said. The doctor didn't even say anything to her. She said the doctor never addressed her. And so she started to think about, like, did she do anything? Did she say anything to the doctor? But then she thinks about it. Out of everybody in the room, I'm the only one that's different. The nurses are white. The doctor is white. I am a black woman. I tell you I'm in pain because you told me to tell you when I feel pain. And I tell you I feel pain and you ignore my pain. You don't even acknowledge it. You don't even tell me, like, "Hey, I know this hurts, but let me get through this so we can go ahead and get this done because you need to get this infection cleared out." He didn't say a word to her. And so that was a very traumatic feeling. So my sister gets back, she's boo-hooing. I'm trying to console her. And I'm like, "Okay, we got to talk to all the nurses and find out who the doctor is because at this point, this doctor need to be written up because this is not clearly to me and from my understanding um the best way he could have done this. Like he could have done this totally different. So as she's telling the nurses are like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." So they getting the information about the doctor. They trying to check the doctor's notes. The doctors didn't have no notes in there. It took him a long time to get notes. He never put notes in there. And then he finally wrote a little something, but it was nothing like that. So when one of the nurses that been working with my sister all week has actually talked to the doctor told her that she never said anything. Really, sir? She's screaming. She's very vocal and she's gonna cry, scream. She's saying it hurts. But then you want to come back and say she didn't say anything? Like something is wrong with that. So, y'all, there is a history of particularly Black women being in the hospital and their pain is being ignored. And why I want to bring this into sports because there's a high number of Black female athletes that are in sports where pain is ignored. And then in sports in general, pain is ignored. You push through pain. Women and girls are taught to, like, no pain, no gain. But then where's the line? Where is the line to where the coaches and the doctors and everybody else around us be like, "Okay, you met this threshold, maybe you should back off." But then also as women, where is the threshold for ourselves? We don't know. And so I want to go all the way back until y'all remember when Serena Williams had her daughter, Olympia, and she's in the hospital like nobody. Serena can't walk down the street and nobody not know who she is, right? And so she's in there having a baby, having an emergency C-section, and then she's like, something don't feel right. I need a CT scan because she's already knows she has a history of blood clots. She know what to ask for, but they keep pushing it off, pushing it off, pushing it off, pushing it off. And then she's like, "Listen, if y'all don't give me a CT scan today, I'm flipping tables. I'm gonna act a fool." Pretty much. So she fought for that. And this is Serena Williams. She's very well known, the best tennis player of all times. And she had to fight to let them know that, hey, something isn't right. I need y'all to go check. I have a history. Can you check this for me, please? And so eventually she get it checked. She did have a blood clot. They was able to find it in time, and her life was spared. There's a story about this guy named Charles Johnson. His wife name is Kira Johnson. She died April 12th of 2016 at 39 years old because she died from a hemorrhage after giving birth to her second son. She's in the hospital having her baby. She's done this before. And so while she's on the operating table, she has her baby, they take her out, and then in her catheter, or what I think it was the catheter, blood is coming out. And she's like, hey, can y'all check this? And they say, okay, cool, hold on. 1 hour go by. Hey, I need to come and check this. My wife says she's not feeling good. Hey, hold on, we'll get to you. So about 4 or 5 hours go on, and Charles is like, listen, my wife has been laying on this table. Something's not right. She doesn't feel good. I need you to come and check on my wife. And then the doctors and nurses proceeded to tell him, your wife is not our priority right now. So when they finally came in to see her, they checked everything and they wheeled her back there and find out that she has been bleeding out for hours at this point. So while she's on the table, while they're trying to control the bleeding, she dies and they can't resuscitate her. Ignored. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes than white women. And there's a reason for that, y'all. So for my random fact of the day, I did some research for this, y'all, because I got to get the facts. I can't just come and tell y'all opinions. I got to tell you where this is actually real, even though what I experienced and what my sex experience is facts. But I want y'all to know that they actually looked into this. There's studies about this. So my random fact of the day is that 40% of first and second year medical students believe that Black people's skin is thicker than white people's skin. Y'all, that's a fact. One of the founders of medicine, I can't think of his name. I should have wrote it down. I can't remember, but in medical books, it was said and believed that Black people don't feel pain the same way as white people. Like that was real. That was really said. That was really done. It says, so like back in the day, slaves were tested. They were tested on. They would cut slaves open with no pain medicine, nothing. Like these things happened. And there was clinical studies done on Black people without their knowledge. Like they were just given diseases and let's see what happens to them. Right? Let's test this medicine out on them and see what happened. Like these things happened. So there is this disconnect when it comes to minorities and pain. So for me, I have a very, very high pain tolerance. In 2016, I had knee pain for a very long time, but my back was messed up. I had other pain that was greater than that pain. I pushed the knee off, blase, right? Kept going till I got to 2017. I'm at World Championships and my leg is swollen. It's not even my knee swollen anymore. My leg is swollen. And I'm like, oh, okay, Michelle, this is pretty bad. I might have pushed it too far. So I remember the night before 2 or 3 days before competition. I didn't wait till the night before because if they would have told me that something was wrong, I was going to tell them fly somebody else out here to do it because I wasn't going to push it and really risk hurting myself too bad. And I remember going in there and I'm like, hey, can y'all check my leg because my leg is swollen and I know it's my knee. Can you check it and let me know if it's structurally sound enough for me to compete? If you feel like it's structurally sound, let's tape it up, brace it up, give me some pain meds. I'm going to go out here and do my job, and then we'll take care of it at the end of the season. And so they checked out my knee. They was like, structurally, you're good. But you got this inflammation and this pain. Like, we got to try to get that down. So I'm icing. We're doing all the things, trying to control the swelling and get the pain down. And I still go out there at World Championships in 2017 in London and win bronze in the rain on a bum knee because God is good, right? Um, but when I finally went in to have surgery, the doctor, after when I before I woke up, the doctor had a conversation with my dad, and he said if Michelle has been competing on this knee for this long, he said, because this is messed up. Her pain tolerance is too high. By the time she feels pain, it's already too late. Can y'all imagine that? That you in pain, and by the time you feel pain, you already it's too far. But then even in that pain, I still push past that because I'm like, oh, it's not too bad. I can handle that. That's not too bad. But the whole time I'm making the situation worse and not even knowing it because I didn't realize I pushed too far. So there's studies on how minority pain isn't as believable on black faces as it is on white faces. And one of the main reasons why is because the melanin in my skin. Like if I'm in pain, I don't really instantly turn red. Like those who don't have as much melanin in their skin, you can kind of see discomfort or something on them a little bit different. How black people in history express pain is different how white people express pain. And I will link these articles down below so that you can actually see them for yourself and read it because and then the study talks about how people can't read pain on their faces. And this is why it's so important to have people who look like you working in these industries, more black people, more Hispanic people, more Indian people, because you understand your people, you understand your culture. You can see pain on someone who looks like you better than sometimes someone who doesn't look like you, and because they express pain differently. So they talk about how in this study, how the pain just looks different on black faces and white faces and how they don't read it appropriately. And so the article says how the title of the article says how we fail black patients in pain. And a lot of times too, black people are most likely when they come in for having pain issues, they're not going to issue them like the good stuff because they think that they're on drugs or they're in there trying to get drugs. And so we're not even prescribed the appropriate medicine half the time because of people's biases. And so black people suffer pain more and longer than they should because of these biases that they have and these thought patterns that have been in our culture, meaning America's culture, for so long. And so it's it's sad and disheartening. It really is, because at the end of the day, people are people. And my quote of the day is actually a Bible verse from Matthew 22:37-40. But I am just going to read just a little part of it. It says, "You shall love the Lord your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first commandment. And the second is like it. You should love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all law and the prophets." So he's saying, love me. God is saying, love me with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. But then right next to that, love your neighbor as yourself. So in sports, when it comes to men and women, we have to look at women in sports as if we're thinking about ourselves. If I was this person, how would I feel? Women have a different set of issues that they have to deal with than men don't. That a lot of when sports are men dominated, so their doctors are men, your physical therapists are men, your sports psychiatrists are men, the majority of them. So a lot of women issues get ignored, and sometimes we have to pause and say, "Hey, okay, how would it feel if I actually was a woman? Like, okay, what issues do I need to think about? Because I'm thinking about this person as if it was myself. I would want somebody to be so thorough about me like it is them, because that's what I would want somebody to do for me. So do unto others as you want others to do unto you, right? So we have to pause and check ourselves in those moments. Is what I'm doing for this person is what I would want for somebody to do for me? If it is, cool. If it's not, then you need to check yourself. because that could be you. And you don't know how that's going to come back around to you. And so with that, we need more women in these medical positions in sports because when it comes to puberty in women, we have a different set of things that go on that's different than men. Men, they get stronger, more muscle mass. Women, our hips spread, we get more body fat. Things have to be accounted for that. Women are has suffered more ACL, MCL, more knee injuries due to the fact that when we mature, our hips get wider, so our alignment and our bodies are different. But there hasn't been enough studies on it to actually come up with a program to help women through those times. And we have those times more than once in our life. We don't hit puberty only once when we're in high school, maybe college. Something happens at 30 and everybody hips just spread just a little bit more. And when I think about it over the years, there's athletes that I know that when they hit about 30, 31, 32, they have suffered a knee injury, and it's really lines up to where you notice they have a little bit more hips than they did before. Like, these things are very visible. Women have breasts. And there's a thing about in female athletes, they're not used to female athletes having a lot of breasts. Your girl got big boobs over here. And so when we're talking about sports, because it's so men dominant, they're not thinking about breast health all the time. Really designing the best sports bras, or even knowing what to recommend their female athletes that they've been coaching for 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. They still don't know the right sports bra to get for them or to recommend for them because they're not thinking about it. It's like an afterthought. So we have to really check ourselves in these positions. We need more women in these positions in sports, especially working particularly with women's sports, because women do have a different set of issues that we do have to deal with. And we're not even going to talk about what society puts on us, because as a woman, you get a certain age and then you ain't had no kids. What's wrong with you? Right? But in the name of sports, if you good at what you do, the chances of you not having kids until you're older is greater, i.e., me, right? I ain't had no kids yet. I'm 37, but I spent 25 years perfecting a craft, doing something that no one else in my event has done in my country. I dedicated 25 years of my life to that. So that means a whole other set of my life was put on hold. And those are things that we don't talk about. And the pain that goes with that, that's painful. Especially if you want that for your life. Like, I want both. But we don't talk about that for women in women's sports. And so there's pain with that. So, it's scary. And Allison Felix actually had this situation where she had her baby, had to have an emergency C-section, and she knew in the back of her mind that as a Black woman, I could die. My chances are 3 to 4 times greater than a white woman of dying in this moment. That scared her. So she went out to start lobbying and petitioning for Black women in maternal rights, because she realized at the end of the day, I am who I am in my world, but here on this table, I'm just viewed as another Black woman. And the person operating on me may or may not have compassion for me, may or may not understand that if I say I'm in pain, understand the magnitude of my pain. And that's my fear as well. My fear is, as a Black plus size female athlete, there's a lot of things that people look at me and assume. Because I'm bigger, they assume I'm unhealthy. They assume that I don't do these things until they see my stats, until they read my body graphs and they take my blood pressure and get my blood. They're like, oh, well, I guess you do. Like, come on. So it's scary going into a world knowing that you're looked at as less than, that your pain that you're feeling may not be a priority or looked at as great. And I think a lot of times, especially for Black women, we hold a lot of our pain on the inside because we feel, or we may think that we feel, that it's going to be ignored anyways. I'm going to hold on as long as I can and then say something when I can't take it no more. And then by the time it really is too late. And so what I hope to see in the future, that anybody, man or female, working in female sports or working with women in general, just take the time to ask them, what are your needs? What does pain look like for you? Okay, how are you really feeling today? And think about those things. Take in consideration that women, we do have our periods every month and that the mood might be a little off. Be prepared for that. How, if you're in the office space, have free sanitary napkins and pads and tampons for women in your office. Right? Like that's fair. We can't control that. Um Coaches, have that for your athletes. These young girls in these sports programs in high school, junior high, and sometimes even in college, they don't always have the knowledge that they need to properly take care of themselves. As a coach, I want to help you and help you help your athletes. Provide those things for them for just in case moments. Your athletes should never have to be out on the court and their period start and catch them off guard. And then now they can't play because they worried about bleeding and they don't have the proper things. So their confidence is down. And we have all these issues. Or you have an athlete that can't afford the proper sports bra and they're out there playing and they can't even play to their max because they're too worried about trying to keep themselves together. Now their confidence is down. They can't play as well. Because at the end of the day, what I want to see for women's sports is that we're in a place, in a space where we're confident about who we are, how we're made, what actually happens to our bodies is looked at as normal. And we can have these conversations, not with just women, but men as well, with our male coaches, and they understand and they can accommodate to what's going on. They can look deeper into the issue to see what's going on to help their athletes be their best. Because with my camp, what I preach is all about confidence. Confidence. They have to be able to believe in themselves, trust themselves, to be their best selves. You don't feel that best when you don't have the proper equipment, i.e., sports bras or feminine products, or you have issues with your hair because, girls, a lot of girls, we like to look good and our hair got to be together. We got to have the right ponytail holders. And what if your ponytail holder fall or a braid fall out? Like, we need a little bit more support. And so what I hope that after this conversation we're having today, that you just kind of go back in your mind, and if you are around female athletes, think about how you can support them just a little bit better. How, if you have some biases and you write off women's pain, or you never thought about what it would feel like to actually run with boobs and if it's uncomfortable, or um or you disregarded how a woman or female athlete has felt in a situation. Y'all, it's getting hot in here, and y'all know how my hair is natural, and I'm trying to keep it from frizzing up because I just pressed it today. All right, and just think about those things, y'all, because it's important. Because as women's sports to grow, these things need to be normalized. We need to talk about these things. We need to be prepared for these things. We need to have these conversations so that we can make sure that all women, especially female athletes or women in general, feel comfortable in whatever place and space that they are, that they have the resources that they need, that people are able to look at them and see their pain and address their pain appropriately and believe what they tell them. If they tell you it hurts, it most likely hurts. Now, I understand coaches, y'all gonna say I got this one athlete who always, you know how to read between the lines, but don't push it off all the way, because sometimes with our younger kids, they may telling you something's hurting when it really may be their feelings is hurt more than anything. And that magnifies all pain. So we have to look at things and see it accordingly, because I want you to think about, if it was you, how would you want somebody to handle you in a moment where you was in pain? Would you want to be ignored, or would you want somebody to try to help figure out what's going on with you and help you be your best in that moment? So anyways, as we close with that message, I want to let y'all know about my nonprofit. So my nonprofit is One Golden Shot. And at One Golden Shot, we have 3 programs. We have You Throw Girl, Sports Confidence Camp. We have Fueled Up, where we feed local track teams here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to make sure they have the proper snacks and food that they need for competition day. And then the 3rd program is called I'm Supported. So today, I want to talk about I'm Supported. I'm Supported is a program that I am starting to where we provide sports bras for young female athletes and talk about proper sports bra wear. Like, what is a good sports bra for you? Like, what's the right support do you need? How to find one, what to put one on, and how to put it on, or what characteristics do you need in a good sports bra? Because confidence is everything. And I was that girl who developed early and didn't always bring my sports bra to practice like I should. And boobies all over the place. And sometimes for girls, you wake up one day with no boobs and you wake up with boobs and you got to adjust. And so I wanted to have, with this program, we're going to have the conversations, talk about proper sports bra fittings, and provide sports bras for young girls who cannot afford it. So if you go to onegoldenshot.org, you can scroll down. You can just donate to the to onegoldenshot.org in general, and that money is divided up between the programs. Or you can go to the specific program you would like to support the most, and you can go in there and click some of the donations amount that are already allotted, or you can put in your own donation amount. Any amount we'll be grateful for, but this is something that I'm really passionate about when it comes to young girls and women in sports in general, is making sure they have what they need to feel confident to be their very best. And sports bras play a big part in that confidence. So help me help them so we can keep building up great female athletes to replace people like myself, to replace people like Serena and Allison, because we can't do this forever. And we have to encourage the next round of young girls that are coming up in sports that are going to be greater than what we were. And so help me, y'all. Go to onegoldenshot.org, donate to the organization in general, or let me know exactly where you want your money to go, and we will make sure that happens. It is a 501c3, so it is write-offable. I know it's not a real word, but we're going to make it today. And I really appreciate y'all. Thank you for listening, and make sure you go to send me an email at iamMichelleCarter@gmail.com. Let me know what you think about this episode, and I will talk to you soon. Oh yeah, make sure you subscribe. Gotta do that. So subscribe. Talk to y'all later. Thank you for listening to the Podium Life Podcast. I hope this episode adds value to your journey of building your podium life. Make sure you subscribe to not miss a single episode and leave us a review. Make sure to go to thepodiumlifepodcast.com to keep the conversation going. Until next time.